Celtic did what you would expect them to do. I thought it was interesting. I thought the crowd really stayed with the Celtic team despite all the frustrations around the board. I think they could see there was a lot of new players in there and guys who were, needing a bit of encouragement, and they certainly stuck with them, which was a good sign for those players. And it was a job well done, and I think that's Nygren got 3 on the board now. And it's an interesting one because, I think he scored them. I think when he signed, we discussed that he'd scored the majority of his goals for a wide position in his previous club, and then is he a number 10? Is he a wide player? But I'm sure you'll go on to the game in Kazakhstan, which is upcoming on Tuesday. But yeah, it's an interesting one because you play away from home in Europe, and Celtic have been lethal in counter-attacking football. Certainly last year when they had Kyogo and Kuhn playing in those, and the speed that they would have. I'm not sure Nygren has that natural speed if you're going to play him in a wide area. However, you do play him in a wide area, it opens the opportunity for Arnie Engels to come back into the team. Yeah. And this might be a tight game that relies on a dead ball situation and Celtic to score a goal for a set piece. Because then they create a lot in open play at Celtic Park. And granted, they didn't play well. And they might play better over there. But it could be tight and it could be tense, and it might just take a bit of something. his dead ball, that Engels' dead ball delivery against Falkirk was absolutely brilliant in the cup tie the other week. So that might be something that Brendan Rodgers has to think about, especially if Nygren is capable of popping up with a goal from a wide area, but then it comes down to the pace angle. So there's lots for Celtic to juggle, but routine one for them and a job well done.
Well, a couple of comments coming in on the game on Tuesday. These ones have caught my eye. AJSC Tech says, Daily Record, please investigate what level of luxury Celtic had on their Kazakhstan flight today. Was it a Rockstar jet, free bar, foot massage? Did the flight path avoid Russia? And he also asked, by the way, how's Mick Gannon getting on with his horrendous journey to Kazakhstan? Please do a video blog chronicling Gannon's visit to Almaty, including horse restaurants, pubs, and culture. I bring that up, Sonia. Have you ever done the dreaded trip to Kazakhstan?
I did it twice. I did the first Celtic one when they went to Astana and played Shakhtar Karaganda.
Is it as bad as everyone makes out, or is it all right?
The journey?
Yeah.
Yeah, the journey was fine. I think I mentioned this before. I'm not sure which particular band had used the plane before, but they had a bedroom in it, I think. Which was quite impressive. So no, I'm sure Celtic do a good job looking after the team and the players, and they will travel in some style. I'm not entirely sure how Michael's travelling, but certainly the twice I've been there, it was fine. I think that the first game with Astana as well, I was there for that game. And it was fine, yeah. I quite enjoyed it. I quite like adventures in different places. So
Marzuno asking the comments how much a pint is.
I wouldn't know that. It was 120 for a sparkling water. I don't know what the pint is.
Body's a temple.
Ruins. Absolute ruins. It's not expensive for a beer.
Just on that as well, I wanted to get your takes, Swanee, at the game on Tuesday. Adam Ida. I know he missed yesterday. I think it's a knee problem, but he's got an injury problem. If he's fit, or do you think he'll be pushed to play? The reason why I'm asking, I kind of feel his confidence looks a bit shot after the other night, and I wouldn't be stunned to see Maeda through the middle.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. Listen, it's a big call, but I thought Yamada showed a little bit yesterday in terms of his movement and a bit of pace as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's definitely a player there.
Starting that lad in a Champions League qualifier with so much at stake, probably asking a bit too much. But Celtic lacked pace and penetration in the first game. It was clearly everybody and it was difficult because the Kairat sat in, and we're not sure how Kairat will approach the game. It's certainly the experience that I have with these teams that they won't be overly aggressive on the front foot on their own patch as well. They'll probably play a similar style. Maybe not quite as defensive, but they're not going to be committing bodies forward, left, right, and centre. So Celtic are going to have to work to break them down again. And I think you have to have Maeda in there. I just think the intensity he sets for the Celtic team in terms of his pressing, his work rate, he sparks everybody else. And I think legs might be something that's important for them. But if you do that, it then opens the issues of who plays in the wide areas. Is Yang going to be up to a game like that? I would imagine James Forrest is almost certain to play, almost certain to start the game. And given his experience, and he's been there, seen it and done it in these games. He scored a winner against Karagandhi, remember, back in the day. So I'd imagine James Forrester's a certainty. So I guess the big decision is, does Brendan Rodgers feel that he needs Maida off one of the sides, or does he feel as though he can trust Yang?
Yeah.
That's really the call. And this comes back to, he should never have been left in this situation.
Yeah.
He's got so few options, shouldn't be in this situation. And this comes back to why the Celtic board are under so much pressure for the fans at the moment, because the manager should never have been left in this position. There should be players there to be able to take up these positions. You now have a situation where the Celtic fans can't be sure if Dyson Maida can be released through the middle, because they don't know whether the manager really, really needs him to play wide.
Yeah.
That is just a preposterous state of affairs when you're playing for a place in the Champions League, given what happened last season and how the steps that Celtic made, and where you really felt as though they made real progress and something to really build on. It's hard to imagine they've been placed in this position. And in fairness, even if they get through this tie, it still doesn't escape the blame. They should not have been in this situation to start with, and they've run a massive risk. And people talk about Brendan Rodgers and that kind of situation and how he must be feeling. What about the players?
No.
Who did so well last year? Guys like Callum McGregor, who give you absolutely everything and perform, and he's had to go through a lot playing in Europe with Celtic, some real disappointments. He's then got a team round about him last year. He's at the heartbeat of it, and it's really starting to get somewhere. How must he be feeling?
No. Well, John, that's what I mean. People have been saying, oh, Maeda looks a bit different. He looks a bit... Actually, that crossed my mind. Maybe he's looking at this going, why have we got no help here? Why are we constantly getting assets stripped and our best players sold with no replacements?
Well, I mean, I think a lot was made last season about the fact that Dyson Maeda was probably having to be overused because he was having to play two positions, essentially. You know, he maybe start a game wide, and then when he was needed in the last half hour, he would end up playing through the middle. Or, you know, he would be swapped out and do something different. He was probably overworked at the end of the year, especially given how much he puts into games. Mm-hmm. And you're now in a situation again where Celtic basically need Dyson Maeda to play two positions on Tuesday night. They really need him wide, but they really need him through the middle.
They need two of them, eh?
You know, it's like... And yeah, if Dyson Maida's looking at that and he's feeling a little bit disgruntled about it, well, do you know what? So what? So he should. Because he saw his compatriot walk out the door in January and must have expected that he was going to be replaced by now.
Yeah.
And we're now in the last week of August and his Kyogo's still not replaced. For fear of sounding like Big Sutton. I'm like a broken down record with Kyogo. It's true.
No, it's true. Right?
It's just not acceptable what's happened.
Aye. In the comments, David says, need Maeda up front for the pace on the break. Chris Fraser says, Dyson Maeda in the middle, Forrest and Nigren either side of him. This comment,
I actually think that's the one. I think that's that. If I was Brendan Rodgers, I'd be tempted to do that because it looks like Nigren's possibly got a goal in him coming off the side.
And then bring Engels.
I know he was moved central by the time he'd scored his second goal against Livingston, but clearly he's got a knack for scoring a goal.
But bring Engels back in with a Tatty McGregor.
I think it brings Engels back into the team. He's got legs. He's got power. He's got strength. I mean, the thing I quite like about I've always said this about Engels last season. I said it quite a lot that a lot of people were picking on Engels and about his individual performances and how he wasn't quite shining. I always felt Celtic played better when Engels was in the team.
Aye, I don't really get it with Engels. I don't see. He's not blown out, pulled up any trees or blown everyone away. I think he's quite a classy player, though. I think he's a good player. Yeah,
and I think this might be just the type of game where he really makes the breakthrough, where he really blossoms. You know, go and let him boss a game like that.
Aye.
I think you can. And as I say, the dead ball thing can be absolutely crucial.
Aye. In the comments again, Scotland the Brave, he says, Daniel, does Balikwisha get a start? And this is obviously Michel-Ange Balikwisha, story on Record Sport Online today. Apparently, he's very close to signing for Celtic now. Who knows, Swanee? Who knows what's going to happen? But he says, does he get a start or has he not made the cut in time to be part of the squad? Can he be added? I'd play him, Maeda and Yang until we get more winning. Obviously, you can't join halfway through a tie and play, but I thought it was worth mentioning that. Yeah. Right, obviously Sunday, so the game's on Tuesday. Celtic touchdown there. I think that I read it touchdown at 7 p.m. UK time, so they'll probably get in there pretty soon. How do you think it'll go, Swanee? Do you think they'll get through?
Yeah, I think Celtic might just get. I mean, again, we've only got the evidence really of the first 90 minutes at Celtic Park when you're gauging Kairat Almaty. I would never lie and pretend to be an expert on the Kazakhstani top flight. They certainly showed they had a little bit about them as well.
Yeah.
But Celtic just didn't play. And you would have to imagine that if Celtic do turn up and play as they can, with the intensity that they can bring, you would have to imagine they can win it, even if it's just by the odd goal.